Well, thank you all for joining the AFC Vacations virtual travel show. My name is Will Reece, and I'm the marketing representative for AFC Vacations. I've been in the travel industry for 15 years and was a tour manager for over a decade. And I took on a role with AFC about 2 years ago and love working with our fantastic team of travel professionals. This is a great opportunity to talk a little bit about our different departures for both fall and holiday tours. And I'm just so thrilled to be able to talk about travel again after a long period of kind of downtime within the industry. But we've seen in the last 4 or 5 months a huge burst of excitement and bookings for travel again. So I can't wait to get started, and we'll get going on the travel show here. So AFC Vacations means affordable first class, and Randy Case started the company 39 years ago and has been going strong since 1982. On the right-hand side, that's one of our first groups in the Canadian Rockies. Then on the left, you have Randy in the upper corner in his original office with the floppy disk computers. Then in the bottom left, that is our new president, Matt Kennel, and Randy Case just a couple of months ago back in our home office. So what's different in travel now? Well, something that's been consistent throughout the pandemic are mask requirements. And TSA has extended that in airports and on airplanes up until January of 2022. So that'll still be the case, as well as on motor coaches. So for our motor coach tours, we'll be requiring masks. We also require proof of vaccination, negative tests within 72 hours of your departure, or proof of recovery from COVID-19. For tours departing after September 10th. Also for international travel in some US cities, vaccination will be required, but we'll give you that information per departure as you book. Also, local guidelines are pretty fluid and varied, but we'll update you prior to departure with any pertinent information regarding local guidelines for your trips. The current environment for travel is some folks a little concerned, but what we've seen over the last 4 to 5 months are people excited to travel domestically. And they feel a lot safer and more comfortable doing so. So we have seen a lot of folks join on to our tours. Plus, the implementation of vaccine and testing requirements has also been met with a lot of positive feedback. So things are looking up, and we're taking steps to make sure your trips are safe and enjoyable. And we're also doing more cleaning protocols, whether that's at the hotels, on the aircrafts, or on the motor coaches. Many motor coach companies are requiring a 24-point cleaning inspection. We're also incorporating health surveys and waivers prior to departure. And for any travel updates, the AFC website is updated as things change. So make sure you keep an eye on that. So there are many advantages to traveling with AFC, but one of the most important is real people and real service. We have a fantastic team of travel professionals that take care of you from the time you book to the time you get back home. And whether it's April, Delta, Joe, Claudia, our team is really well taken care of when it comes to managing your travel experience. So they're out here trying to make sure your trip is the best it can be. And one of the most important components of your trip is getting to the airport. We make that nice and easy and have been doing so for the past 25 years with our home pickup airport service. So we'll pick you up from your home, take you to the airport, and then when you land, we'll meet you there at baggage claim and take you home. It's one of the nice perks of booking with AFC. And with us, there are many ways to save on your tours. Randy used to say, it's almost like we're paying you to travel. One of the main components is our cash early booking savings. If you're one of the first people to book on your tour, you can save up to $350 per person. Also, for the single travelers, we do a single supplement savings. If you're one of the first 5 to book, you can save up to 50% off your single supplement. So a lot of varied ways to save on your travel. And at AFC, we incorporate inclusive packages, and that includes round-trip airfare, as well as I mentioned, the airport pickup service. But also, if you have friends or family that want to join you from anywhere in the US or Canada, we can assist them in their booking as well as incorporating their air travel. We offer worldwide tours and cruises as well as a number of different travel styles. And you can see that right in the middle. Whether it's one of our classic tours to the national parks, a European river cruise, or one of our many train trips around the world, a lot of different ways to explore. And one of the most popular is our Unpack Once tour, where you're staying at one hotel for your entire trip. That makes it nice and easy to settle in. And one of the most important parts of travel is dining experiences. And our trips have memorable experiences, whether it's the New Orleans School of Cooking, our lobster bakes in New England, or our river cruise dining, which is 4-course meals. These are fantastic ways to try some of the local cuisine. And throughout our tour experiences, we incorporate quality accommodations. In the left-hand side, that's the Hilton Resort in Sedona. Then at the top, you have the Grand Hotel Mackinac Island and the Doubletree in Hyannis on Cape Cod. A lot of different styles of hotels, but great properties throughout. And your travel investment is very important. We know there's a large cost to travel in some cases, so we offer a low-cost travel protection plan. Our cancellation protection offers a cancel for any reason benefit, and we're also part of the USTOA, which is a select number of tour operators throughout the United States, about 50 tour operators that are under the USTOA, and they offer a $1 million traveler's assistance program. So you are protected under that. One of the most important components of your travel experiences is who you're traveling with. And we have experienced and knowledgeable tour managers, whether it's Deb Howard, Chris, Chuck, Brad, Pat, or Denise. Also a number of other tour managers out there. These folks are some of the most knowledgeable people in their destinations of travel. And they're also a lot of fun to travel with and explore. So you're in good hands with them. And how do you book your trips? Well, you can call us at the 1-800 number at the top of your screen. You can email Joe at afctours.com, or visit us online, afcvacations.com, to book. Since you're viewing this presentation, remember to use the savings code VTS8 as a show special, and I'll go over them next. So some of the specials for attending today: if you book a new 2021 tour or cruise or 2022 tour or cruise by Friday, September 3rd, you'll take the deposit down to $150. And most people have that in their piggy bank sitting at home. But again, you must use the savings code BTS8. Also, if you book and pay for your travel protection plan with your deposit, we'll take an additional $20 off per person. So where's your next AFC vacation heading? I'll start off by talking about our mystery tours. And these are some of our most memorable trips. Both Chris and Deb are running our 2021 mystery tours. And these are hugely popular trips. They sell out nearly every departure, but these are some of the remaining departures we have. How does it work? Well, you'll be told how to pack, the weather and temperature average in the destination, what time to be at the airport, and your flight time. Once you get checked in and get your ticket, you'll be able to see your first destination. It's always fun to tell the folks at the airport counter you don't know where you're going. When you arrive, it may not be your final destination, but the tour manager will reveal tour components as the trip develops, and they may give clues along the way. But these are trips for folks with a sense of adventure and those that don't need all the details, but they are really creative and fun itineraries with all seasons considered. So we have both new mystery tours, which are destinations we haven't done before, and encore destinations, which we've done maybe once or twice in the past. But when you book, you can always talk to Joe, Claudia, or April, and they can tell you if you've been there before, but keep all the details secret. And if you're ready to go now, we have what are called guaranteed departures. These are trips with plenty of passengers ready to travel and booked already. So a number of trips between September and November that you could book onto over the next couple of months. And one of the first regular programs we have, this is actually a new tour, a pop-up tour called Magnolia Trails and the Heart of Texas. This is a 5-day trip, October 24th and November 7th, led by Chuck Denny. And what's included, we start off with a welcome dinner on your first night, like many of our itineraries. Then on day 2, we start with a Dallas City tour, and you'll see the Perot Museum, the Pioneer Plaza, commemorating the trails that brought settlers to Dallas, and American Airlines Center, which is the home of the Dallas Mavericks. Then you'll visit the 6th floor of the Texas Book Depository, where a museum commemorates the life of John F. Kennedy. Next, you'll head to the George W. Bush Presidential Library and Museum for a self-guided tour on the SMU campus, and wrap up the day with a visit to the South Fork Ranch, which is known as the world's most famous ranch from the TV show Dallas. And there you'll enjoy a guided tour of the property before returning to your hotel. Day 3 starts with a tour of AT&T Stadium, which is the home of the Dallas Cowboys. And on that tour, you'll see the press box, the post-game interview room, and get on-field access as well. And that's known as Jerry's World for owner Jerry Jones. But that stadium can hold up to 105,000 fans, including standing room, and cost over $1 billion to build. Then you'll make your way to Fort Worth, where you'll have the afternoon to explore the Stockyard District. And today, this historic district is one of the most popular attractions in all of Texas. This is home to the historic buildings and restaurants and saloons of the original Wild West. That afternoon, you'll get a tour of the famous Stockyard, which is home to Fort Worth Herd. And that's where real Texas cowhands drive a herd of Texas Longhorns down the main avenue. And that happens twice a day, so you'll see the afternoon viewing. Day 4 includes a step-on guided tour of Waco, Texas, and that features sites from the TV show Fixer Upper. We'll also visit the Magnolia Market. And back when the Brazos Valley Cotton Mill closed back in 1958, they were just run-down silos. And Chip and Joanne Gaines purchased the area and developed it into full-scale retail and restaurant venues. Then in 2016, the Silos Baking Company moved into the last available building, and soon they had a line around the block. So it's a really popular spot to see. The tour also includes a visit to the Dr. Pepper Museum to learn all about the soft drink industry, and then wraps up with a Texas barbecue farewell dinner. Our Great Trains and Grand Canyons trip is one I've done many times and one of my favorites. We have departures in September, October, and November. And this, again, is one of the Unpack Once tours. So we'll spend 5 nights in Sedona. The first day is usually the trolley tour, as well as a visit to the Chapel of the Holy Cross. You'll also get to see the little village of Tlaquepaque, which is an artist community. Then we'll head out on the Grand Canyon Railway, which is this historic rail route, from Williams up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon and see Bright Angel Lodge. Then you'll make your way back to Flagstaff for dinner that night. You'll also get to see Jerome, which is an Old West mining town, famous for copper mining. And then Montezuma's Castle National Monument, which is a beautiful cliff dwelling up in the hills. We'll wrap up the tour with a Western Steakhouse dinner. And either on arrival or departure, depending on your flight schedule, we'll also visit Old Town Scottsdale. And with our Idaho adventure trip, this is another very popular one. We had a departure in June, which sold out. Our September date did as well, so we added a October 4th departure. And this is about half full, so great chance to get on board. We'll fly into Spokane, Washington, and cross the state line into Idaho and stay 2 nights at the beautiful Coeur d'Alene Resort on the lake. You can see that pictured in the upper right-hand corner. Enjoy some free time at the resort that evening and take either a cruise or enjoy a drink and dinner at one of the 10 dining options nearby. And then the next day, we'll visit Wallace, Idaho, and tour a working silver mine. Wallace is a town with less than 1,000 people, but is one of the top 3 silver districts in the entire world. And gold preceded its discovery in 1878. 6 years later, as miners were flocking to the area, the first silver samples were found. You'll enjoy dinner that night at the Ryder Ranch for a delicious steak cookout before heading back to the Coeur d'Alene Resort. The following morning, you'll travel through the Clearwater Mountains and stay for lunch in Lewiston along the Snake River before a visit to the Lewis and Clark Discovery Center. Then it's on to Riggins, Idaho, and you'll stay at the Salmon Rapids Lodge, which is a family-owned property with stunning scenic backdrop. Take a ride on the Salmon River jet boat tour and learn about the wildlife that call the Salmon River home. And our Ultimate Canyonlands tour is a really great way to see a lot of the national parks, not only national, but also state parks, with 6 national and 6 state parks included. You'll fly into Las Vegas and head to Zion National Park, where you'll stay just outside for 2 nights. Zion's one of the most visited parks in the US with over 3.5 million people every year. You'll tour the valley floor, then have a free afternoon, or you could join the group to the upper park area to visit Kolob Terrace. You'll leave Zion the following morning and make your way to Bryce Canyon, where the many irregular rock formations known as hoodoos have been created through erosion, both wind, rain, and snow. And walk along the rim trail from spots known as sunset to sunrise with your tour manager. Then you'll travel through the Escalante Canyon, which is a small portion of the Colorado Plateau, and enjoy dinner that evening as a group. You'll end up staying 2 nights in Moab, which is your home base for visits to Arches and Canyonlands. And along the way, you'll also stop at Dead Horse Point State Park. And that's a great view of the Colorado River. The following day, you'll visit Monument Valley, where the group will learn about the Navajo tribe. Then it's on to Lake Powell, where a morning cruise and tour of the Glen Canyon Dam fill your day. Before your trip ends, you'll also stop at the north rim of the Grand Canyon. Now, the New Mexico Balloon Fiesta is a major event, and it happens only once a year in October. So we do have an October 8th departure with Pat Conway. And you'll get a chance to see the Balloon Fiesta in 2 different lights. You'll arrive into Albuquerque for a 2-night stay and enjoy a group welcome dinner. The next day is Balloon Fiesta time, and experience one of the most photographed events in the world in 2 different lights. First, the Mass Ascension, which occurs first thing in the morning as the sun rises up over the hills. And that's when nearly 100 colorful balloons take off all at once. It really is spectacular. Then it's back to town for an Albuquerque city tour, and you'll return to the Balloon Fiesta that evening for the Balloon Glow experience. As the sun is setting, these balloons fill with light, and colorful balloons take off in the evening. On day 3, you'll visit the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center and learn about local tribes and traditions. As the group leaves Albuquerque, we'll stop at the Los Alamos Bradbury Science Museum. And that museum goes in depth on the Manhattan Project and the creation of the world's first atomic bomb. Then spend the next 3 nights in Santa Fe and travel the high road to Taos, including a stop at El Santuario de Chamayo. And Chamayo's plaza is the last surviving Spanish fortified plaza in the Southwest. It's believed to be built on sacred earth, and the sanctuary is the most visited church in New Mexico. The high road itself is a 56-mile scenic route winding through the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. And Taos is an incredible artist community, a World Heritage Site, as well as a world-class ski resort. And on day 5, you'll experience a Santa Fe city tour, which features the Plaza, Laredo Chapel, and the Palace of the Governors built in 1610. And as we head to the east, I'll talk a little bit about the eastern seaboard with coastal Maine lighthouses and landscapes. This is a couple of departures, September and October, but October 9th has the most amount of space. And what you'll do is it's a newly designed tour operated this year by Deb Howard on these 2 departures. You'll get a great taste of the Northeast on this trip and fly into Boston for a night. Enjoy a Boston City tour the following morning, and that includes the Boston Commons, Old State House, and Old North Church, where Paul Revere started his legendary ride. Then enjoy a guided tour of Fenway Park, which is America's oldest ballpark and home of the Boston Red Sox. That was built in 1912, and it's also featured in the movie Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones. Then drive along the New England coastline, stay in either Kennebunkport or Portland, Maine for 5 nights. You'll take a scenic Casco Bay cruise and see lighthouses, forts, lobster boats, and wildlife. Then visit the Old Port Historic District and Portland Head Lighthouse on Cape Elizabeth. Back in 1776, the town of Cape Elizabeth posted a guard of 8 soldiers to warn citizens of any oncoming British attacks during the Revolutionary War. In Kennebunkport, the Victorian architecture and scenery is on full display, and you'll visit the Trolley Museum and stop at Walker Point for beautiful Atlantic coastal views. Then you'll end the trip with a lobster bake farewell dinner. In our Pittsburgh and Fallingwater trip, this is only 1 departure in 2021 on October 18th, and that's filling up fast. This is a great Unpack Once tour, staying 4 nights in Pittsburgh and starting out with a welcome dinner on the first night. You'll meet your guide the following morning for a Pittsburgh city tour, and that features Fort Pitt. That fort was built between 1759 and 1761 during the French and Indian War. You'll take a ride on the 1877 incline tram to the top of Mount Washington, and then tour the Heinz Historic Pittsburgh Museum, which covers the story of the city. On day 3, you'll head south to Laurel Heights as you enjoy the beautiful fall colors of Pennsylvania, and tour Falling Water, which you can see in the upper right-hand corner, which was Frank Lloyd Wright's crowning achievement in natural architecture. This was built for the Kaufman family in the mountains of southwest Pennsylvania between 1935 and 1939, and it was donated to the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy with over 1,500 acres and opened as a museum in 1964. Then you'll visit the Phipps Conservatory, Henry Frick's Clayton Mansion, and the Carnegie Museum of Art on day 4. And before flying home on the last day, you'll see the Heartwood Acres Mansion, which is in the bottom right corner. Our Brandywine and Poconos tour starts by flying into Philadelphia, and you'll head out to Brandywine Valley for 4 nights. Nestled in the rolling hills of Chester County, Pennsylvania, it was here that the Battle of Brandywine took place in 1777 between George Washington and the British as part of the Revolutionary War. Then you'll visit the 2 DuPont mansions, Nemours and Longwood Gardens. The DuPont family was filled with business minds and philanthropists, and Nemours is a 77-room mansion on a 300-acre estate built as the home of Alfred DuPont. It's filled with antiques and tapestries dating back to the 1700s. And after that, you'll head out to Longwood Gardens, which was started as Pierce Farm and went from 400 acres to 1,000 acres after its 1700s origination. Now, Pierre DuPont purchased the farm in 1906 and developed a home there between 1907 and 1914. The following day, the town that chocolate built, Hershey, Pennsylvania, will be your stop. And you'll tour the Hershey Story, which is a museum dedicated to Milton Hershey. Then you'll head out to Dutch country and learn about the Amish and Mennonite way of life and enjoy a delicious Amish dinner served family style. From there, you'll continue on to the Poconos to see the scenic Lehigh River Valley and stay 2 nights at the historic Shawnee Inn, built in 1904. Then spend a day in Philadelphia, where you'll have a city tour including Independence Hall, the Liberty Bell, and the National Constitution Center. Then you'll also visit the Martin Guitar Factory to learn about one of the most beautifully sounding acoustic instruments before flying home out of Newark, New Jersey. And Niagara Falls and the Grand Hotel, this is a fantastic trip. 2 of our dates have already sold out, October 8th and October 14th, so we were able to add a date, which is October 17th. And this is a 6-day tour. We'll start out by flying into Detroit and meet your tour manager, then stay 2 nights in Dearborn, Michigan, the birthplace of Henry Ford. You'll visit the Ford's River Rouge plant, where F-150s are built, then stop at the Henry Ford Museum to learn about the Ford family and why they filled the automotive industry. Then head north to the tip of Michigan and a short ferry ride to Mackinac Island. We'll be staying 2 nights at the Grand Hotel Mackinac, which is an 1887 resort that's held its glory and charm for over a century. The island is car-free, so you'll enjoy a horse-drawn carriage ride for a city tour of the island. Head to Frankenmuth after that, and Frankenmuth is a Bavarian-themed town with one of the largest Christmas stores in the world, so you'll have time to explore that. Then it's on to Niagara Falls, where you'll experience the unique Behind the Falls journey on the Maid of the Mist cruise. And our next departure is Music Cities, America's Music Cities. This is an 8-day tour. We were able to add space because our first trip sold out. So you'll start your trip in St. Louis, where you'll stay your first night and enjoy a St. Louis city tour the next morning. And there you'll see the famous Arch as well as Union Station, which was a train station turned into retail. From St. Louis, you'll travel south to Branson, which is the live music show capital of the world. And there you'll see the Dutton Show, which incorporates a variety of music styles from bluegrass to classical music. The following day, you'll see Doug Gabriel perform one of the longest standing shows in Branson. And that evening, you'll board a lake cruise on the Branson Belle. And while you relax on Table Rock Lake, enjoy a dinner show. Finish a great day with world-class violinist Shoji Tabuchi. Then from there, you'll head to Memphis, home of the blues. And en route, stop in Little Rock, Arkansas to visit the Clinton Library and learn about his presidency. Then arrive on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River for 2 nights in Memphis. In Memphis, you'll tour Elvis Presley's Graceland, which is a 14-acre estate, and enjoy a Memphis city tour and visit to the National Civil Rights Museum. You'll stop at the Peabody Hotel to see the famous Duck March through the lobby, and then visit Beale Street for that evening to enjoy dinner at a popular restaurant. Then see the countryside of Central Tennessee on your way to the home of country music, which is Nashville. And you'll stay in Nashville for 2 nights at the Gaylord Opryland Resort. You'll enjoy a performance at the Grand Ole Opry, and the following day you'll get a chance to visit the Country Music Hall of Fame as part of the Nashville City Tour. The farewell dinner that night will be musical as well. Our New Orleans and the Mississippi Gulf Coast trip, that is November 7th, so just 1 date, and that's a 6-day program. So we'll stay 2 nights in the famous French Quarter of New Orleans and enjoy a walking tour of the quarter featuring St. Louis Cathedral, and that area has had a church on site for hundreds of years, since 1727. Then you'll visit Bourbon Street, the famous street and strip, and the French Marketplace before stopping in for beignets at the famous Café du Monde. Since 1980, the New Orleans School of Cooking has been dishing up delicacies, and you'll have the opportunity to enjoy a welcome dinner there and learn all about Cajun cooking. Then visit the gardens, mansions, and cemeteries that make New Orleans unique before venturing to Mardi Gras World and get a chance to look at New Orleans' most famous event. Then travel out to Biloxi for a 3-night stay and visit famous Bellingrath Gardens, and that features year-round floral arrangements. From there, you'll drive north to Mobile, Alabama, with its historic downtown full of centuries-old homes, and enjoy a scenic drive of the Gulf Coast, then visit the Maritime and Seafood Museum. You'll also get a chance to enjoy a Biloxi shrimp boat cruise and learn all about the shrimping industry in the South, as well as learning how to dragnet. Then your farewell dinner with the group will be at a local Biloxi restaurant before flying home the following day. Now, Georgia on My Mind is a fantastic trip. It's November 11th, just 1 date this year. A 6-day trip where we'll stay all in one hotel, 5 nights, so it's unpack once. We'll start out with a city tour of Atlanta, and there you'll incorporate the state capitol as well as Martin Luther King's home. You'll get a chance to do dinner at Mary Mac's Tea Room and tour CNN studios and the world of Coca-Cola. We'll also visit the Gone with the Wind Museum, the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library, and take a trip up to the Stone Mountain Park and Summit Skyride. Now, these are our holiday trips, which are a fantastic way to see these destinations, but at a different time of year. So no matter how many times you've been to a destination, it changes during the holidays. Whether it's New York, San Antonio, New Orleans, or Santa Fe, there's just a different feel and spirit traveling during the holidays. The lights and activities make things magical at that time of year. And these are also great value programs. In some cases, they're a few days less and therefore less expensive on that end. And also because of the time of year, the prices are lower in general. So we'll start out by talking about Smoky Mountains and Pigeon Forge. And start your trip on this one by flying into Knoxville, Tennessee, home of the Volunteers, and travel out to Pigeon Forge where you can unpack for 4 nights. So again, another unpack once trip. Head out to Smoky Mountains National Park, which is the most biodiverse park in the national park system. And that park covers 800 square miles in the southern Appalachian Mountains. Then take the aerial tramway up to the ski area for the best views of the Smokies in Gatlinburg. You'll get a little bit of free time in the afternoon in Gatlinburg to explore. Then from there, head to Asheville, North Carolina, and arrive at the Biltmore Estate, which was built by George Washington Vanderbilt between 1889 and 1895. You'll enjoy lunch at the estate before heading back to Pigeon Forge for a magical Christmas show. You'll get a chance to visit the A.J. Bush & Company General Store, which is famous for baked beans. Return to Pigeon Forge for free time before ending the tour on a high note with Dolly Parton's Stampede. Savannah and Charleston holiday. This will be led by Chris McCool on November 30th. This is a 7-day trip, and you'll arrive in Charleston for 2 nights to start out the trip with Southern Charm and a welcome dinner. The next day, join the city tour to view historic homes and the historic 1790s marketplace. Then board your Fort Sumter boat cruise, and that's narrated with information on the first fired shots of the Civil War. Visit Boone Hall, which is a plantation of over 740 acres, and it's still a current working farm. Then travel along South Carolina's coastline, where you'll enjoy a horse-drawn carriage ride in both Beaufort and Beaufort, North Carolina and South Carolina. From there, you'll continue to Savannah, which is America's first planned city, and enjoy a group dinner before time to enjoy the decorations and lights of the city. Then a city tour is the focal point of day 4, with an afternoon at leisure to pick one of the many activities you just learned about. And after that, Jekyll Island will be the next stop, and that's where a trolley tour awaits. You'll learn about the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers, and J.P. Morgan, and lunch is included at the Jekyll Island Club. Then visit St. Augustine, which is one of the oldest founding cities in the United States back in 1565, before heading to your hotel. And a St. Augustine tour and farewell dinner round out that fantastic trip. Now, the San Antonio holiday trip is one I've done a number of times. This is a 5-day trip on November 30th. This, again, is an unpack once trip where you're based right around the Riverwalk of San Antonio. And on the Riverwalk are thousands and thousands of lights. There's strings of lights all around the Riverwalk, only at the holiday time. And the Riverwalk is actually the #1 attraction in Texas. So this is a great trip. You'll stay 4 nights there, doing a San Antonio city tour the following day, and a visit to the Alamo. So you'll spend quite a bit of time at the Alamo itself. Then visit the Mission San Jose and do El Mercado for lunch, which is a fantastic marketplace. On one of the days, you'll go out to the LBJ Ranch and Historic Park and the German town of Fredericksburg. And one of the main components of the San Antonio holiday trip is the Riverwalk Lights, which is the Fiesta de Luminares. So the Riverwalk's all lit up, as you can see in the pictures on the bottom left and upper right. And you'll get a chance to do a river cruise, either at night or in the afternoon. And we also offer an optional day trip to Austin. Our New Orleans holiday trip is 5 days, November 30th. And we start out by doing similar components to our New Orleans and Mississippi Gulf tour. But again, with the holiday experience, it's quite a bit different, more festive, and a lot of fun. So the French Quarter walking tour and market. We'll visit Café du Monde for beignets. Then we'll actually join a steamboat cruise for the Natchez River. We'll do the New Orleans School of Cooking, a city tour of New Orleans, and then the Oak Valley Plantation. And a celebration in the Oaks is a special celebration that occurs only during the holidays, so it's a great time to go. Now, the Sedona Holiday Tour, this is another trip that adds a lot of value to your experience. We do take out one of the days, which are the train rides, but we incorporate a lot of components that are on that same trip, whether it's the Sedona Trolley Tour and Chapel of the Holy Cross. We actually drive up to the Grand Canyon, which is quick, and then go out to Jerome and Montezuma's Castle on this tour as well. So we have one departure, which is December 1st with Pat Conway. Our Music Cities holiday, this is a 5-day trip. So we'll fly into Springfield instead of St. Louis and spend 2 nights in Branson. And similar components, which is Shoji Tabuchi and Doug Gabriel. We'll take the Showboat Branson Belle and then visit the Clinton Presidential Library. As we work our way out to Memphis, we'll stay 1 night in Memphis doing a Beale Street dinner. We'll visit Graceland and then do a holiday dinner show at the Opryland. We'll wrap up the tour in Nashville for 2 nights with a Nashville City Tour and the Grand Ole Opry. The Santa Fe holiday trip, this is a 5-day program, December 5th. Instead of the style of trip with Albuquerque, where we stay in Albuquerque for a couple of nights. This is an Unpack Once tour of Santa Fe. So Santa Fe City Tour with Laredo Chapel and the Governor's Palace. Then we'll visit the Shop A Christmas store. We'll drive down to Albuquerque for a city tour, and we'll also visit the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. We'll do a stop at the Chamayo El Santuario, which is the sanctuary, and a Taos Pueblo tour on this trip. Our New York City holiday tour, this is a 5-day trip with a New York City panoramic tour that incorporates Central Park, Rockefeller Center, and One World Observatory. And New York's just special at this time of year. The lights around Radio City or downtown just liven it up quite a bit. Also, the weather is fun when it snows, so it just livens up the city. We'll visit Statue of Liberty as well as Ellis Island, and then do a Broadway show as well as the Rockettes. And the Rose Parade New Year's is a fantastic trip, especially if you're from Texas, but if you're new to San Diego, this is a great tour with 6 days based in Southern California. And we include the grandstand seating at the Rose Parade. We also do a New Year's Eve dinner, which is at your hotel. And then one of my favorite components, which is lunch at Lowry's in Beverly Hills for some famous prime rib. We do the Showcase of the Floats, which is the following day after the Rose Parade, where they're all lined up and you get up close and personal with these floral designs. Then we'll stop at the Nixon Library and Museum for a visit of the Presidential Library. We'll do a tour of Hollywood and Beverly Hills and stop at Mission San Juan Capistrano. We'll also get a chance to see some of the local beaches in Newport and Laguna, and then head on down to San Diego for a city tour. Switzerland and the Christmas markets of the Rhine. This is November 30th of this year. It's a fantastic 9-day trip where we'll fly into Zurich. From Zurich, we'll drive down to Lucerne and stay 1 night there doing a city tour of Lucerne. And this is a great chance to get your fill of Swiss chocolate to bring home. I usually end up with half a suitcase of chocolate on my way back. We'll then head up to Strasbourg for 6 nights on board the beautiful river cruise ship, the MS Imperial. And on all of our cruises, we have regional wines and beers included with onboard dinners. We also, for the upcoming cruise season, have Wi-Fi included. In Strasbourg, we'll do a city tour as well as a visit to the Christmas market. Then we'll head up to a little-known town known as Speyer. And this is one of the gems of the river. Beautiful, quaint little town in Germany with a beautiful reddish cathedral and very simple walking streets that are fantastic to explore. From there, we'll continue north to the town of Rudesheim, which is famous for a coffee. Look that up. Then from Rudesheim, we'll continue on to Koblenz. And in Koblenz, we usually do an evening walking tour as well as visit to the Christmas markets. Then we'll head down a side river to Cochem, which is a beautiful town with a castle up on the hillside. We'll do a wine tasting there as well as a tour and get a chance to visit the famous castle up on the hill. From Cochem, we'll head up to Cologne and visit the beautiful cathedral there. You can see that pictured in the upper right-hand corner. And Cologne's a beautiful mix of modern as well as historical. So Old Town Cologne, we'll do a walking tour through there, ending the trip at the Cologne Cathedral, and then you'll have free time to explore the market right next to the cathedral. So this is a fantastic tour, November 30th, with 3 countries, Switzerland, France, and Germany. And our Normandy, Paris, and the Seine River cruise, this is occurring April and October. Our April trip is close to being sold out, so we do have more space available on October 4th, but you might get the last remaining cabins on April 26th. We are aboard the Amadeus Diamond for this tour, which was renovated in 2019. And we'll start out the trip by flying into Paris. We'll make our way out to the port of Conflans, which is a beautiful little port area. And that's a great place to, if you have any remaining errands on the trip, whether it's a pharmacy or any other stops, great place to do that. Then we'll head off to Auvers-sur-Oise. And I apologize for my French pronunciations. I studied Italian, and it's quite a rivalry. From Auvers-sur-Oise, we'll do a walking tour through town. And this is the home of Van Gogh. He lived and died in the town and painted over 80 canvases here. You'll see the cafe where he lived and died and visit many of his inspirations along the walking tour through town. So here's some photos of Auvers-sur-Oise. The Auberge Revue is the location where he lived in the upstairs area. Had a bedroom up there. That's also where he passed away. And a number of these destinations around town have portraits held up to the actual buildings where he painted. Then we'll head off to the town of Rouen, and this is the capital of Normandy. So you'll visit the cathedral there, which you can see in the middle of the screen. We'll do a walking tour with the half-timbered homes pictured down in the bottom right-hand corner, and the famous astronomical clock on the left. There's a large marketplace, Place du Plaz, and a half-covered market. So even if it's wet or rainy, you're still in a good spot there. And this is the second largest city to Paris on this trip. So this is a great place to do some exploring and shopping with the chocolate shops and florists around. Also a great English-speaking pharmacy across from the cathedral there. Then there's a number of outdoor green spaces across the river from where we dock. And it's a great mix of modern and historical, just like Cologne, as part of the city was bombed during World War II. From there, we'll head out to Honfleur, which is the port town, and we'll drive out to Étretat. And in this town is where you can see these famous arches of the Normandy coastline. So beautiful views. Also a beautiful little town to explore there. And from there, we'll head out to the Normandy coast of the D-Day beaches. And you'll get a chance to do the American Cemetery, visit the site where over 9,000 American soldiers are buried. And that's commemorated quite well along the coastline just above Omaha Beach. So these were 5 beachheads that were stormed on June 6th by the American, British, and Australian forces. And that's commemorated with a memorial on the beach itself. And we'll also visit Pointe du Hoc, which is another beautiful coastline view. You can see the bomb craters on the left-hand side, and that's where the Rangers of the 1st and 5th Battalion climbed up over the hills, over 100-foot cliffs to get up to where they expected the gun turrets to be located. Then we'll make our way to Gaverny and Les Andelys. And Les Andelys is pictured on the right-hand side. There is Grand Andely and Petit Andely, 2 sides of the river. And up on the hillside is a ruin of Richard the Lionheart. So you'll get a chance, if you want to do the optional that day, to learn all about that. Then we take you out to Monet's house and gardens, pictured on the left-hand side. And that's a great way to learn all about Monet, his artwork, and his lifestyle. We'll wind up the trip in Paris, doing a city tour with the Eiffel Tower. We'll drive by the museums as well as the Arc de Triomphe and ride along the River Seine. So we'll be on board the MS Amadeus Diamond for that trip. And it was built in 2009, but renovated in 2019. Built in Germany, 4 decks and 62 staterooms with a maximum passenger of 145, 146 on board. So it really is quite a wonderful community there on board the ships. So as we wrap up the show, I just wanted to thank you for attending. Some of the show specials again, book a new 2021 tour or cruise or 2022 tour or cruise within a week of the show by Friday, September 3rd, and take a low-risk deposit down to $150. Again, you must use the savings code VTS8. Then if you book and pay for your travel protection plan with deposit, we'll take an additional $20 off. And how do you make your reservation? You can call the number at the top of the screen, email Joe at afctours.com, or visit our website, afcvacations.com. And remember to use that savings code VTS8. Thank you again so much for staying with us and enjoying the show. We hope you had a great time and learned a lot about our different tours offerings coming up. And have a wonderful day.